Welcome back. Once again, I am Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And it's time for How We Felt About. We just did a Deadpool spoiler cast, and we told you how we felt about that in a very lengthy video where we also spoil a lot of things. Now we're going to do like a regular How We Felt About. We're going to do less spoilery things, and we're going to chat a little bit about the latest DC Direct animated movie, not in the DC 52-inspired universe, although weirdly, very shortly after the last one of those. This is the first time I think we've had to review two of these this close together.
How else would you drop this? Because it's not part of that line.
No, that's true.
I think Cape Crusaders ends up like that too, right?
It's weird.
Yeah, because Cape Crusader drops right next to Killing Joke.
Yeah, it's weird though because it's still like an Alan Burnett produced thing.
Yeah.
And yeah. But anyway, so this is Batman Ninja.
We are going to spoil this though because the ending's great.
Oh, we are, aren't we? Yeah, we should. Okay, we should say that up
That's
front.
why you said less spoilery.
Yeah, less spoilery and also, you know, less nitty gritty. We're not going to go into everything, but this won't be like what we did with Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay, where we were really careful not to spoil too much
because you should all go see it.
Everybody should go see it. I mean, this is fun, but we do want to talk about the craziest things in this. Mostly because if you're like me, that's what's fun about this. Is just the insane, really, they did that? Okay. So this is I don't know, I want to say American-made anime. It's not that, is it?
No, because it's directed and written by Japanese people.
Okay, so they made this.
They made this. Now, that being said, I did see that apparently the script for this is altered from the Japanese script, and in some ways is a different story.
Yeah, that's what I had heard
Which is annoying, because we had subtitles on, and it wasn't vastly different, which means the subtitles are only for the English audio track, and not for the So even if you're watching this in Japanese, you would not be getting a more accurate version
I don't
of this
know,
movie.
though, because somebody asked if we were watching... Somebody asked me if we were watching it with the subtitles for the Japanese version, which makes me think there's another English subtitle track that translates it more directly.
Then we should watch again with that.
Which means we're going to be reviewing one version of this,
yeah.
and there is potentially a different version.
Okay. Which reviewing the English version.
Probably explains some of my confusion in that there were things in this that felt like American people trying too hard to make a thing feel authentically Japanese but weren't managing it. Because I didn't have any of that with the animation. It was all in dialogue writing. And that makes me feel a little bit more vindicated. I need to go back and watch this that other way.
Yeah, same here.
But anyway, we're gonna review the English dub version.
Yeah.
And tell you what we thought of that, and also the animation, which is exactly the same between both versions. If that other version is indeed as different as it sounds. I got the Steelbook version, which is neat that they made a Steelbook. I was kind of surprised by that.
Not a waste of a Steelbook.
It's really super pretty. Yeah, somebody who didn't like this was like, waste of a Steelbook. I'm like, well, I don't know.
Still an awesome looking
it's
Steelbook.
An awesome looking Steelbook. Yeah, and I'll say straight away, I didn't hate this. I didn't love this. It's a
lot of fun.
It is hysterical.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's not at all what I would want from this premise. Well, sort of. I guess what I mean is, it would have been nice to have more of a story you could sink your teeth into and not a video game plot. My main issue with this is, I kept wanting to pick up a controller. I think this story's great for a hack-and-slash video game. But I had a hard time not sometimes like tuning out a little bit with exposition and just plotty stuff when I was just sort of waiting for... Because most of the time when we do that, I mean, there's a couple of sort of interesting notions thrown out here and there, but most of the time, we're just kind of setting up the next big action set piece, and I kept wanting to fast forward to those, or like get to play the video game parts. The cutscenes in this not video game are boring. I'll say that.
Sure. Yeah, I don't care about the story. I also don't care about most of the characters.
Yeah.
I realized I wish there were more characters in this, because we have a pretty restrained number of villains, and none of them get any screen time, so I want...
Or characterization of any kind.
Yeah. So I want more villains.
With sort of the exception of Joker and Harley Quinn. The one interesting thing we do with that, we don't do anything with.
It's cool to see, like, the samurai versions, or the feudal Japan versions of these characters.
Yeah.
I want to see more of them, because I didn't get anything from Two-Face or Poison Ivy. They're basically not in this movie. So if you're going to do that, do more of them.
Yeah.
Just give me a bunch of villains. Because
they're just mob boss factions that we don't get to hang out with.
Yeah, that's part of what's really fun about this, is getting to see the feudal Japan redesigns of all these characters.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of it, given how little I get characterization-wise from the ones that we did do.
Now, I wish...
No, I like the Joker a lot.
He's wonderful, and his voice is great.
Yeah. I found I know that actor. It kind of blew me away.
Oh.
I don't know if you know him from anything.
Okay.
But I know him from Arrested Development. I was like, oh, it's that guy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I really wanted from this, we knew from the beginning wasn't what they were doing, but as I was watching it, I was desperate for it to be Japanese versions of everybody, and not a time travel plot.
Yeah, we basically wanted, like, Elseworlds, like Batman Samurai kind of.
Because that's what was fun about this, and it was so cookie cutter. There's no reason you couldn't have done exactly that and just gotten rid of the really quick Gotham thing at the beginning. Gorilla Grodd didn't need to be here.
But he does need to be here.
Why do you say that?
Because that's how we get monkeys.
Because the monkeys, and the monkeys are hilarious. Yeah, we'll get to that.
And incredibly important to the plot.
Forgetting the most fun thing to point and laugh at, and just go, okay, they went weird enough for me. Forgetting that, we didn't need Gorilla Grodd. He was just a plot device to get the ball rolling. And again, if we were actually telling a story, he might have been kind of interesting to see him there and controlling people and trying to take over the world in the past or whatever. But we didn't do a lot with it. He's just there. He's doing those things, but we don't really do any character stuff with anybody. I guess what I'm saying is, when you look at their characterization of Batman, they clearly don't understand Batman, and why not just make it its own thing then? Its own totally other thing. I was distracted by what I know.
Well, and then the question is, do the Japanese not understand Batman, or does the guy who wrote the English script not understand Batman?
Well, that's a good question.
I would be very interested to know what Batman feels like in that Japanese version.
Yeah, that's true, but even just the stuff he's doing visually.
That's true.
I mean, this is a Batman.
It does seem like they don't know Batman outside of, like, iconography.
Yeah, it would be more interesting, for example, to see a Batman who is so obsessed with gadgets and his identity is so linked to technology that he doesn't know what to do without the technology, if you didn't open it with our Batman in Gotham City and take him back in time. Like, I just wanted this to be totally its own Batman.
Yeah. And Batman is kind of the least interesting part of this whole movie.
Oh, absolutely he is, yeah.
It's not a great voice.
I mean, that whole thing also is really funny.
It's also... There's a bunch of things where it feels like they don't understand, and I'm not sure now if it's the English translator or if it's the Japanese version. Does not get Jason Todd. Or, not Jason Todd, Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne, yeah.
The cheeriest... And he's smiling, so that makes me think that's in the original version.
The only... No, that must be. But the only... And also he's got a pet monkey.
Yeah.
But the only way that Damian Wayne... Or the only reason that we know for sure that's Damian Wayne is who else could it be? Like, it's not Damian Wayne.
Yeah, they only call him Robin.
But they have...
Robin, Nightwing,
they have Nightwing.
And Red Hood.
They also have Red Hood. Which is Damian Wayne.
Which is probably my favorite redesign
That's
outside
really
of the
cool.
Joker. I really like their Joker design. It's very like Kafka from Final Fantasy influenced. Or I'm starting to think just that's what Japanese clowns look like.
Yes.
His design's really cool.
I like his mustache.
Yes. Harley's design is actually pretty cool too.
Yeah.
But other than Joker, I love the Red Hood design. The Red Hood design is just great.
I was actually a little... It's funny that we've been talking a lot about Harley Quinn voices lately, because as much as I yearned for Tara Strong to play her back in Batman Harley Quinn, I was distracted by her here.
Well, because everyone else is new.
Because everybody else has a totally different take on it, and then it's just Tara Strong's Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Although I liked her. I mean, Tara Strong's Harley Quinn.
Always does a good job. I mean, she sounds like Harley Quinn, but...
Yeah.
But with this Joker, I wanted a different...
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. We wouldn't bring anybody else. Well, no, that's not true. We brought Tom Kenny back for the Penguin, and let that man play the Penguin again, because he's finally perfected that voice.
That's fair.
I never loved him in the Batman. He's great in this. The 6 lines he gets.
The difference is that the sound of that voice fits perfectly with this crazy material.
Yeah.
And Tara Strong's just doing vintage Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair.
You don't want vintage anything in this.
No.
Like, it needs to be totally redesigned from the ground up. Or at least, if it's going to be like Penguin, something that already fits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the mech robots are really fun. I love the idea of taking of taking castles and turning them into...
And then there's robots combining into an even bigger robot.
Yeah. You got to have that whole thing.
Yep. And then, what do you fight? A giant robot built out of other giant robots that are made of castles. What do you use to fight that?
Well, naturally, you put a whole bunch of monkeys together.
And bats.
And you make them a Batman that somehow has all the right colors.
And a flowing cape.
How that works.
He also has a flowing cape. Yeah.
Those bats are doing a really good job.
The monkeys and bats, like, stand on top of each other and, like, make a giant Batman that is completely solid, except for when it's not, and it fights the giant robot.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And it's worth the price of admission.
Because you don't see it coming. You're just like, okay, like, Batman's gonna get a giant robot, right? No. How wrong you are.
A thing that felt, and like, I've not obviously watched a whole lot of animes, but one of the things that felt most Japanese and almost kind of like wetto to me is the notion of Joker and Harley Quinn having to convince themselves that they're not themselves, that they're poor farmers, in order to convince Batman that they've reformed by losing their memories. We don't do anything with it, and they so quickly get their memories back that I don't know why they couldn't have just pretended. Except maybe the whole idea is they're so crazy they couldn't have pretended?
Yeah. It's not just that. What also makes it super Japanesey is that...
But that made me want this in parts. That made me wish this was like 3 or 4 hours long, or like a series, because if this actually was a Japanese show, they would have developed that and it would have been 2 or 3 episodes. Or it might have been really boring.
Like the Marvel animes. So, Joker and Harley Quinn make themselves forget who they were... But there is
with some kind of flower or something, right?
I don't remember how they make themselves forget. But there is a scent trigger that will bring their personalities back.
Okay.
That's in a flower that won't when it blooms.
Right.
So they have like a timeline where, like, okay, once it blooms, like, we'll get our memories back. And so Batman comes.
Oh, okay, that's what that was.
Yeah. That felt very Japanese.
Yeah, it did. And was for no reason at all in a completely different animation style.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really strange.
And at first I thought it was intentional, or like, obviously it was intentional. They didn't accidentally make it in a different animation. At first I thought it was like really thematically about something.
Right.
But then the scene keeps going and Batman shows up and I'm like, this is just a scene in this movie.
Well, and at first I thought it was a flashback. I thought that was how they were doing Red Hood.
This is what he's been doing.
What he's been
doing. Because Batman gets
since they've been in Japan
way later than everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a few seconds in the present equal a couple of years in the past.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, it was weird that it was in a different animation style. Maybe it plays better in the Japanese version. In the American version, it works at first, and then I'm like, oh, this scene's still going, and now it's just a scene in this movie, and why did we do this in a different animation style?
Yeah.
It was weird.
But yeah, I really wanted to do something with that, because that was kind of the most interesting idea.
Yeah. And again, maybe they do in the Japanese version. We don't know.
Well, yeah, but even if they do, there's no time to flesh it out.
Yeah.
So the dialogue could be more interesting, but
yeah,
ultimately,
this is fun. I think it's worth seeing. You don't have to. Like,
was it at all what you were expecting, or what were you expecting? You know,
it's less complex than exactly what I was expecting. It's much more...
I didn't think it would be so cookie cutter.
It's much more...
It's as crazy as I was hoping.
Yes.
You know, the wildness of it. Like what I thought we would see was something like Sumo Bane.
Yes,
I was waiting for something like that, and that was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we got.
There's
stuff
no
like
explanation for that, and that's great.
No, and I love that there's no explanation. Like, that guy's clearly not Bane, but I wanted more of that. I wanted the whole movie to be that. You know, like we reinvent everybody. So like Bane's a sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
And Joker's a Japanese clown. And
Yeah. No, I wish there was more of that. I don't know. It's not exactly what I thought it would be. But not.
Did you expect it to be a little bit more serious? Because I kind of did.
I did expect it to be a little bit more serious, but with all the weird, crazy, like, Japanese elements.
Yeah. And with those tropes, like, you have to have giant robots and...
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's worth watching once.
Yeah.
You have to be in the right mood for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to get a super serious, like, deep Batman story. But, like, this is going to drop to $10. Like, pick it up when it's $10.
Yeah, sure.
Don't pay full price for this movie.
You know, or rent it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I had a lot of
worth
fun with
seeing.
it, and it's weird I'm saying this because it's PG-13.
And watch it with a group.
Watch it with your kids.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised I get to say, but I wasn't sure if this would be appropriate enough for my 8-year-old, so I asked people on Facebook, and folks said there's a couple of things that are a little bit
it's anime
hard,
sexualized.
like, yeah, and also like there's a scene with Red Hood that's a little bit rough, but beyond that, not only is it mostly appropriate enough for an 8-year-old, it feels almost aimed at that age group.
Yeah, it feels like a kid playing with action figures.
Yeah. In a great way.
Yeah.
I mean, like I do like that about it. I just wish that there was a little bit more of a substantial story, because you can have that and it not feel like it ought to just be a video game.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something else I wanted to mention too, and I'm forgetting what it is now. But I forget. But anyway, yeah. I mean, it was fun.
The woman that voices Catwoman in this is great.
Oh, she's wonderful,
and she needs to be more. She needs to be Catwoman more.
Yeah,
she's great.
Oh, and then you had, I remember what it was, then you have that crazy, weird ending where they go back to the present day and they have the Japanese, feudal Japan Batmobile.
Yep.
Where it's Bruce Wayne riding in it, but it's got bat symbols on the sides. You're like, well, that's a dumb idea. Nobody knows you're Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know the other thing I was going to mention. It's got the Batmobile that keeps changing into stuff.
Oh yeah, the Batmobile that becomes a Batplane, becomes a Bat motorcycle. I think that's the extent of it. But like it just keeps deploying smaller Bat vehicles.
It was
really great.
And once he's done with all that mess, like this Batman does not know what to do with himself.
You know what's also great, like in a bad way, but I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
So he has the thing where he's like, I rely on all my technology, all I have now, and you're like, oh, that's what we're doing with Batman? It's not. We don't ever touch on that idea ever again. Batman never once mentions after that point.
That's because he gets over it real fast. It's not that they dropped it. It's that his character arc is done in 20 minutes.
And now he's settled.
No, that's what he did with it. And then, just like everybody, it makes me think that everyone that went back in time had a light switch moment where they're like, oh my god, no more internet, no more power. And then, like, a day later, I'm in feudal Japan now. I guess I'll just deal with that.
I'll start bowing.
Batman has this moment where he's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I'm Batman.
Yeah,
I can just
use
my ingenuity and my detective skills."
That was the thing I thought was hilarious in the trailer. He's like, I don't have the Batmobile or my gadgets, but I still have my body. And I was like, yeah, of course you do. You spent years honing that. Of course. Like, why does that even need to be said?
Yeah, like this Batman should be flabby, right? Like. This guy should, he's been eating too many burritos.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to our other movie for how we felt about today, and that is a film that was suggested to us this week with donation by Mr. Jeffrey Patron. So thanks a lot to you, Jeffrey. And he asked us to watch a movie from 1996 starring Ewan McGregor called Trainspotting.
I don't have the case because we borrowed it from a friend of mine. And
so we can't hold it up. So... yeah.
It wouldn't be representative of the film we watched anyways, so...
That's true. That case, it looked like it was a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Looked like a dirty romantic comedy.
Yeah. So, I've always known about I've known about Trainspotting for a long time.
Yeah.
It has a real rabid kind of cult following.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people...
I've heard references in movies to it, but I never knew what anybody was talking about.
I know a lot of people that love this movie.
What is that movie that we were talking about the other day, the reference?
Scott Pilgrim.
That's right.
Yeah. Halfway through this movie, I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about in Scott Pilgrim. Got it.
Now my understanding of that film is complete.
But yeah.
It's like if we ever finally watched the pilot for Moonlighting.
I also can't imagine Scott Pilgrim watching this movie.
Really?
Scott Pilgrim? Specifically the character Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah, really? You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I think he's got the attention span for this.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
And he's kind of a little too pure-hearted to have seen this movie, I think.
That's fair. He just seems like he's kind of all about cult underground things.
That's true.
He might make himself get through it because someone said it was trendy.
That's true. Well, and the sequel for this did just come out last year.
That's really interesting.
T2.
T2.
That's what it says in the box. It is T2.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bold statement. To be the third T2. Because Transformers also called itself T2.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wow.
Yep.
Well, now all bets are off. Once that does it.
Yeah.
Anything could do it,
So, Trainspotting, I'd always meant to see. Like, it is a film it's always been, like, on my list of, like, oh, I should see Trainspotting.
Yeah.
Because it's great. Not my thing.
Yeah.
Really not your thing. Like, Here's the thing. Watching this, I'm like, I totally get why someone would think I would like this. Especially, like, when it's coming out, we are, like, hip deep in Ennis Hellblazer, and Ennis Hellblazer feels a lot like this.
Yeah, that's fair.
But Ennis Hellblazer isn't from the eyes of a junkie, or when it kind of becomes that it's a brief period of time. I don't know. I like things that it makes sense that I should like this.
Yeah.
And I get why someone would hand this to me and say, you'll probably like this. I get why someone would think I would like this. It's not for me. I think it's beautifully directed. I think it's a pretty good script. I think. It just wasn't for me. It didn't resonate with me. I was real skeeved out most of the time.
Yeah.
To put my cards on the table.
Was some of the issue that it wasn't, like through most of it, it was kind of just a study of these people who keep making the same mistakes over and over again, and wasn't, like, enough of a story for you, or...
I just don't, like, I'm not invested in stories about junkies and living in filth.
Yeah, that's...
It's not my thing. I'm sure people can
this...
point to a million things where I'm being hypocritical about this, but, like, I don't know, like early on I was like, this is kind of like Fight Club. But it's kind of like Fight Club if Fight Club was just about them living in that derelict house, and that's gross, and I'm not interested in that. It's not bad, it's just not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I felt that way too, where I'm like, I get what we're doing with this, and
I get why people would like it.
Yeah, and I get why it would speak to people, and I like that it's not, I mean, this is an understatement, that it's not in any way whatsoever glorifying the drug addiction or the way these people are living. It's not supposed to be fun, but then it's weird when a movie like this has a cult following, because it feels like people probably watch this to have a good time.
Everyone that likes this talks about it as if it's a comedy.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny.
I don't get that part of it. Now, there are bits where I was laughing with it. All the James Bond stuff was really funny.
Yeah.
When he
just keeps prattling on.
It's
like the only thing he has to talk about.
Well, and the thing I laughed at the most was when he says, "Well, that guy knows a lot about Sean Connery."
Yeah,
that was really funny.
Yeah.
But it felt like when it's funny, it's because we're through the eyes of these people when they're really high, and then when they either sober up or they're dealing with major ramifications from their drug addiction, it becomes horrific, and it should be horrific, and it's the same thing I have with a lot of war movies, where it's just it's not a good time, and it's not supposed to be, and in some ways I'm glad I saw this.
I'm sure we'll get a lot more things.
Like, I get it, but it wasn't fun, and I don't get why people might think it's fun, and B, I feel like in some ways once I was like even less than halfway through, I was like okay, I get the point of this movie, and I'm not sure I need to see any more of this movie, and it was getting more and more tedious as we went along, and then it gets interesting at the end
because the plot starts,
and I think the ending is quite good.
Yeah, the ending is quite good. I told you because there's a brief period where we took
this is what I was trying to think of. It was Apocalypse Now again for me.
Sure. There's a brief moment during this film where we take like a small break because we hear something upstairs, and you go upstairs.
I don't think it's as good as Apocalypse Now.
Sure. And you go upstairs, so it's like there's a brief break, and you come back, and I was like, are you also just kind of waiting for this to end? You're like, it's the longest 94 minutes I have ever sat through.
Yeah, you were like, well, at least, I'm glad it's short, because we have other things to do.
Yeah.
And it felt like 3 hours.
It felt long. It felt like, at bare minimum, I thought this was a 2.5 hour movie.
The toilet scene at the beginning, I think, is one of the longest scenes I've ever sat through. You said you would have turned it on.
I would not have made it. If I just sat down to watch this, I would have gotten that scene like, yeah, this movie's not for me.
And then also made me question when things were literally happening and when they weren't in the moment. I think once I'm done with the movie, I can interpret it. And I think I don't think it is to be interpreted. What I mean is, I think I'm reading it correctly. I get what it's doing. There are really only a couple of places where it gets really surreal.
I think there's only 3.
What's the other one besides the sheets? It's the toilet.
When
the
he
sheets.
slips into the carpet, the entire film is like in like reverse letterbox for a little bit because of the red carpet.
I'm not even remembering that.
It's when he overdoses. And we keep cutting back to his POV, and there's still the carpets on the side of his face because he went into the...
yes!
Yeah.
That was actually pretty cool. But
there's a lot of this movie. This movie is beautifully shot. It's really well directed. I thought the sheet stuff was really well done.
No, that was really well done.
But like that was, I think the first
and the baby on the ceiling is again mortifying.
I think
haunting.
That scene is the first big one where I'm like, okay, now the movie's gonna end.
Yeah.
And we must have only been like 35 minutes into the movie, and I was like, all right, and this is going to be the conclusion. This movie feels about 90 minutes long. We must be wrapping up here, and we weren't. It just kept going. An actual criticism apart from just taste issue.
Yeah.
Boy, the girl needed to be in this movie more. I kept waiting for her to come back.
Yeah.
Because it's just a scene, and I'm like, okay, so we're never going to see her again. But then they start dating.
Yeah.
And I keep waiting to touch back with that because we established that they're dating. Mm-hmm. And I kept waiting for that ever to come up again. It just never did. Like, just a scene where he's like, once the crazy guy comes and starts living in his house, where like he's talking on the phone, he's like, yeah, he's still here. Like, I why is that thread even in this movie? What does it add? Other than it's a slice of life movie.
Yeah,
it's not about
it is very much that. Yeah.
Anything like that, I guess. But like, I needed more of her. I need more of their dynamic. I didn't get a read.
No, it's obviously not, traditional narrative, traditional 3-act structure, breaking status quo, somebody wants something.
I also didn't like any of the characters, which I don't think I'm supposed to, but I also didn't like them in the way of, like, they're so awful, they're funny.
It makes it hard to stay invested, and...
The mustache guy is scary. I don't like when he's on screen. It makes me uncomfortable.
And there is a little bit of... I do keep kind of wondering if I'm supposed to find that guy endearing in some way.
I don't know.
Until the end. Like by the time we get to the stuff in the hotel room and stuff at the end, I'm like, okay, no, I'm not supposed to like this guy in any way at all.
But am I supposed to am I supposed to think he's funny earlier?
I thought so till we get to
like there's beats where I think I'm supposed to think it's funny in that like
because he says the C word like 65 times.
No. When he throws the bottle or the glass or whatever over behind him and it hits that girl and then he comes down and he starts to fight. Like that feels real like football humor, like British football humor, like the ruffians. And I've laughed at things like that before and it just didn't play for me at all here. And there's a lot of that here where I'm like, I think I get why this is supposed to be funny and I think I've thought things like this were funny.
But the problem
in this context,
yeah, that's it. Yeah. I can't laugh at it because it's just so insanely sad, and I want these people to pick themselves up, and I'm like not in that I'm so invested in them. I'm rooting for them to succeed because I know they're not going to.
Mm-hmm.
I never had a place where I thought this movie would have a happy ending.
Yeah,
and that's a credit to it. I don't think I'm supposed to. I think if that happened at the end, I would think it was disingenuous.
Well, and I don't know. Like it's, like I don't know. Like, I like the main character well enough once he sobers up, right?
Sure.
And I'm kind of invested in him getting his life together.
Yeah, and his denial is interesting.
Yes.
He basically keeps saying, this time I'm going to be a good person. I've always been able to. There was nothing ever stopping me. I just simply didn't care before. And now I'm going to do the right thing because I can.
Yeah.
And he says that at the end, and he won't.
Yeah.
He takes the money and he runs, and he's like, and now I'm going to be a good person.
I've been a bad person my whole life, but now I'm going to be a good person.
And the thing that rings true most for him is the thing he says at the beginning, when he's, and I think the lists are important, but I would almost need to look at it again.
Choose life, choose family, choose whatever.
Right, yeah, and when he's like, well, like I say, I would need to, there are things that I want to read that I would need to watch it again, but I don't want to watch it again. I think, is it like Fight Club where if I watched it again I would like it more?
Maybe, but I liked Fight Club the first time I saw it, and I did not like this movie.
Sure,
so.
and I needed the big twist reveal with that. This doesn't have that. Although the ending plays almost like a twist for me, where I'm like, oh, it actually is about something. Okay, I don't mean about something. It's obviously thematically about all kinds of stuff, but just
there is a story.
There's something that actually happens at the end, and it turns out you really have kind of been looking at a story, except it looks meandery.
I do really like the bit early on where he says, we do it because it feels good.
That's what I was going to mention, yeah.
We're not idiots.
Who needs reason?
Yeah. Well, and we're not idiots. We wouldn't do this because all anyone ever sees is the come down. You see the junkies.
Well, I like that right after that he says, well, we're not that big of idiots.
Yeah. And Because that is a thing that I've thought before, working in gas stations and things like that, where I'm like, why do you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
And like, to have him come up and be like, it does feel good.
Yeah.
And I really like his explanation where he's like, while you're doing it, nothing matters. And it's the come down that sucks, because now you have to deal with, because it's not just the withdrawals, it's the, now you have to deal with life. Now you have to deal with bills and children and other people and...
Well, it's basically just putting, I mean, like it's putting reality aside, but it's also putting humanity aside.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are real people that feel and care about things, and they're trying to put that away and act like they really don't care about anything, which is
driven home by the baby thing.
Immediately when the baby dies, the first thing they all start doing is taking more hits, and that is one of the most uncomfortable experiences I've ever had with a movie. And once again, it's absolutely supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I had been able to force myself through the grossness of the toilet scene, I would not have been able to keep watching past that scene.
Yeah.
Like once you see the baby in the crib, I'm surprised I haven't had nightmares about that yet. That's so rough. And I've always had a hard time with children, not just children in peril, but parents like not taking care of their kids. Yeah. Parental neglect. I've always had a really, really hard time with, and it's worse now that I'm a parent. And there's a whole thing with that in Breaking Bad that's like, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And this was worse than that. And it was...
Well, you've had that experience now.
And you know how I say... Well, and I was going to say this earlier. I don't say this to conflate the two and act like Breaking Bad is like this movie. They're obviously very different things. As a stepping stone kind of thing, I'm glad I have seen something with drug culture in it that is also, you know, if not cynical, like, about the scary, the scary sides of that world before I saw this, because I really wouldn't have been able to make it through this if I hadn't liked anything drug culture before.
Is that
because I used to just resist the whole kind of genre?
Is that the end for you? Where like I can think of all these things that people would think I would like this movie because I like all these things. Is it Breaking Bad? So it's like, well, he likes this thing about drugs.
I don't know. I would be interested to know why Jeffrey thought I should watch this. Although I mean, I wonder if it's not just it's kind of an important film, or if it's Ewan McGregor has an amazing performance, or because he does. I mean,
he has a great
he's astounding.
Yeah. He looks like Chris O'Donnell the whole time. It's amazing.
He just disappears inside of Chris O'Donnell doing a Scottish accent this entire movie. It's amazing.
Yeah. That is my favorite joke in the whole movie.
He did say he didn't seem interested in me talking about this movie if you weren't here, though.
Interesting.
Which makes me wonder if he picked it more for you. But just so folks know when they request things, you can request something just for Eric.
You can request something just for me.
That is totally cool. But yeah, I would be. I mean, I could have just asked him. I would be interested to know why Jeffrey wanted me to watch this movie.
My funniest, or what I think is the funniest joke.
And I'm not saying I wish I hadn't watched it. I mean, really interesting experience. But I can't say that I had fun looking at it.
Yeah. My favorite joke in the entire movie is
that's also not the point of everything. There are a lot of things that I absolutely love that I will go back to that are not there to be a good time.
Have you ever seen American History X?
Necessarily, I still haven't.
American History X is kind of like this in that it's a really uncomfortable movie. It's got a little bit too sappy of an ending.
This does not have that problem.
No. For the subject matter, like it's a little bit. It's almost like they wanted to do like a really bleak movie, and then like the studio got involved and it was like, well, could you? I mean, it's still got a downer ending, but like it's way more optimistic. I don't know.
Yeah, say it's impressive.
But American History X is a movie I would compare this to, kind of, where I'm like, I'll never need to see that again. I saw it the one time and I'm good.
Sure. It's impressive this movie wasn't messed with.
I mean, I think it's a British production.
Okay.
They do that.
Yeah. I wasn't sure who the house was.
I think it's a British film. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive.
I mean, it obviously feels like it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I didn't look into it.
Well, it's Danny Boyle, because I think 28 Days Later is also technically is a British film. It got released over here theatrically, but I think
which is interesting because I love that movie.
Yeah,
that movie I will rewatch.
Yeah. Oh, and he also did 127 Hours,
which I've never seen.
And Danny Boyle's all over the place. This is also the guy that's supposed to be the next James Bond director.
That's the movie Deadpool's referencing when he's cutting his arm off, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
So I know that happens.
I thought that was a movie you really liked.
127 Hours?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Weird. I thought that was a movie you really liked.
Interesting.
But my favorite joke in the whole movie is, or my favorite just bit, where I was like, that's genuinely funny, is
I saw the movie with Ryan Reynolds where he's buried alive for a couple days.
Oh, maybe that's what.
Maybe that's what you're thinking of. You ever seen that?
No.
Ooh, that's great. I don't know if I
those,
can
those movies came out
sit through it again because that's also a hard movie to watch. But it's amazing. Somebody reviewed that on. I think it was Rob's Rogues reviewed that on. Who reviews the reviewers during the last season? Last season, I think, or third season. I forget what season that was. Anyway, but he Anyway, he reviewed that, and it was one of the few things that sounded so interesting. I felt the need to watch it after he reviewed it, and it's really good, but it's really uncomfortable. I can't remember the name of that right off. Anyway, sorry,
I think it's just called Buried.
I don't know if I don't think that's the title. I don't know where my. Oh, there it is. Anyway,
but no, my favorite bit is when they talk about how much it sucks being Scottish. That whole scene plays for me 100%.
Yeah. No, that's
which is also why he's obsessed with Sean Connery, right? Like it's one of the biggest Scottish actors.
You're right, and one of the reasons they act like this is because of where they're from, they don't think they can ever amount to anything.
Yeah, which is a thing that does come up in a lot of Ennis's works, because Ennis is Scottish and things like that. And there's a whole thing with
they put themselves down just because of their heritage.
Yeah,
they don't.
Well, and also just the state of their country currently.
Right. Yeah.
I get why someone would think I would like this. Like, I really do. And maybe I would have liked it more when I was younger. I'm not sure. Maybe it would have. I don't know. It just wasn't for me.
But it's really interesting to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am glad we watched it just because as we're talking about it. Oh, you're right. That is called Buried. Wow.
I thought it had a really lazy title.
It's pretty, yeah.
Buried with a cell phone.
Running. Anyway, so, yeah. I don't know about this. Did we do this for Batman Ninja?
No, I'll go with Feeling It for Batman Ninja.
Me too.
Go with...
I mean, and not even lukewarm. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
It's not a good story. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad we watched it.
I will go with Not Feeling It for Trainspotting. I think it's a well-made movie. Yeah. It's just not... I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I have to do that too, but I hesitate because I think it's really well done.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's well done. It's not for... I'm not feeling it.
Sure.
Emphasis on feel.
But I did have an emotional experience with it too, you know? Like,
sure.
It did make me feel something, but I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
If you catch my meaning. Anyway, that is going to be it for how we felt about today. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and thanks again to Jeffrey for your requested review, and we're going to do some more requested reviews throughout the Omnibus tonight. Once again, we do those just inside of all the shows now instead of doing You Made Me Watch, partly because people are making us do other things besides watching things, and it's nice to spread them out.
That was always a problematic title to begin with.
Yeah.
And we only came up with it because that first show we only had to watch things. We were like, oh, You Made Me Watch.
Sure, yeah.
And we're like, oh wait, but there's other things.
Yeah, and we we didn't have to keep going with that, but I never had a good title, and then I was like, whatever, we'll just be... And also, we're getting more requests, so it's not just, 2 or 3 things. It's sometimes more than that. We're going to go on right now to the Comic Vault, so if you want to continue watching the Omnibus and you're looking at the playlist, just leave it running, and you'll get right to the Comic Vault. Today on the Vault, our featured item is the last 2 volumes of Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, most of which they actually didn't draw.
They only draw 1 issue.
Mm-hmm.
Issue 50.
This is why most of which they didn't draw. Yeah, they don't draw any of this volume, but we're going to do 4 and 5. We're going to talk about City at War, which is fascinating, and I'm excited to sink my teeth into that. And Eric and I also both have a couple of minis or graphic novels to chat about briefly, too. So stick around with us, will you? And we're going to go right now to a break, and after what I'm sure is to be a riveting commercial or trailer for you guys, we will talk some comics. All right? See you in a little bit.